haven't put a WRX engine in my Corolla. I've upgraded it to the 4-cylinder 2JZ bottom end. Yeah, this is where we're at this week. Welcome back to the Klingberg Motorsport YouTube channel, everybody. Today I am going to fix the engine in my drift car. You can see from all this smoke, it's not a two-stroke. It does smell good though. It's not a two-stroke. It's just got some holy pistons, shall we say. So I run a 2JZ GE non-VVTi bottom end in my Corolla. So I've run this for, I don't know, quite a few years now. I've had this motor in it. 1JZ head, so technically 1.5 JZ. Very, very basic engine. And the pistons in these, like 2JZ GE bottom ends, they're not as strong. They're not like, not as strong to shock sort of thing as like 2JZ turbo engine, so GTE bottom end would be. So yeah, I've broken some more bits in it. It's happened before, it'll happen again. It's just what you get. I don't spend money on it. I don't spend enough money on it, to be honest. So the plan today, rip this motor out and assess some damage. So I've got a few days this week to get this sorted because I am driving it next weekend at Mallala for round 3 of Drifting SA's championship. So I didn't do the first 2 rounds with other commitments and work and stuff. So this is my first round of this season, and this is actually the first round that I've competed in probably 3 or 4 years maybe. I've done a few rounds here and there. I've never done a full season with Drifting SA. It's been a while since I've done full competition seasons. Probably back in like 2016 was maybe the last time I did a full full season sort of thing. I kind of finished around then. I used to do a lot of competing all over Australia. But nowadays I enjoy building cars as much as I do driving them. And obviously lately I haven't done enough driving. If you watched my last Matsuri video, you'll see that the engine is hurt. It has been hurt for some time. Back to Adelaide Motorsport Festival was probably when I actually did some damage to it. Just from I've got a pop bang limiter sort of thing in it, and it kind of just shocks the piston, and very common for breaking ring lanes in these pistons. So so today I'm going to dive in, rip this engine out, and we'll assess some damage. I've got some more pistons and some piston rings and stuff, and we're going to do a cheap rebuild on this. I'll run through it as we go, but I'm going to take a few good bits off of this engine and put them aside because I'm going to build another good engine. Not this week, but I'm going to build another good engine. So I want all the good bits off of this engine set aside so that I can dive into that one, get that one ready to go and bolt it into this car before Summer Nats. It needs a good engine in it before Summer Nats. I need to give myself a realistic timeline. I'm not going to go and say I'm going to knock it out in a week and, things don't go to plan. You need to, if you want to do things right, sometimes you need a bit of time up your sleeve. So let's dive into ripping this thing apart once again. successfully made my shed even messier. Yep, well, engine is obviously out, and stripped down to see what damage I've done. Yep. Nah, it's not as bad as what I was expecting, actually. All repairable. It is the problem that I was expecting it to be. It has done a little more damage due to me still driving it. Obviously, I need to learn when to park it up, but yeah, so anyway, the number 4 piston was the worst. That was the problem child here. So I'm guessing it has cracked a ring land, like I said, some time ago, and I've just kept driving it and driving it and driving it. And eventually that compression finds a way out. So it looks like, so this is the piston. Yeah, rings in multiple pieces. Looks fine. Yep. Nope. So, like, to start with, you think like maybe an injector's died and it's like detonated and melted a piston, but no, there's no damage to the valves or anything, and the actual surface of the piston, not that you can really see it, there's some like flakes on there, but that's just kind of sprayed metal, not like detonation divots. So yeah, she's going straight through. There's a hole in there. Yep, we can see light through there. So yeah, like I said, it would have just cracked a ring land, and then because I've kept driving it, it's just found a, like, that compression has found somewhere to go, and it's, yeah, she's done a bit of damage on the way out. So not too bad overall. I think there was another 3 pistons with cracked ring lands, so probably a little better than I was expected, but actually these rings are cactus. Like, they've got no spring left in them, which tells me they've had a hard life. So I know what you're saying. Why do I pull it down and rebuild it so often? Why do I go through all this? I've never ever treated it nice. I always drive at 110% when I drive. Yeah, there's no point in half-assing things, you know. So, but yeah, and why don't I just put a forged engine in it and it would last longer? So a forged engine in something like this, you'd probably still pull it down every year. I'm pulling this down every 6 months at the moment. So it's not that bad. I've actually put a lot of hours on this motor. So I put it in before Samanat. So I did 4 full days at Samanat. Some of the, like, I've never done so much driving in 4 days at Samanat. So then from there, I did at least 1 drift practice, Adelaide Motorsport Festival, a couple days. I think, did I do another drift practice? I can't remember there. Somewhere I did something else, and then I went to MotorX, which was 2 days, and yeah, then another drift practice after that. So what is that? That's like, it would be, I don't know, somewhere between 60 and 80 hours probably on the engine in that time. So I'm not going to say it's done this many kilometers because that's not how it works, but yeah. So overall, everything actually looks pretty good. Head gasket looks good. I don't know whether I really said it. At MotorX, I cooked it doing a skid at the end because I'm a freaking idiot and I didn't turn the thermo fans on the radiator. And yeah, drove off the like pad, and yeah, it was sitting on 160 degrees. So I've never seen an engine that hot before. So that's 160 degrees Celsius. So yeah, she was cooking. And I was honestly expecting it to have, like, you know, a bit of damage to a head gasket or something, and everything actually looks pretty good. So the worst of it is probably the bores. This block wasn't that great to start with, but yeah, you can see that one there looks pretty bad, but it's actually just like the alloy, like, or the spray from the piston metal sort of thing. So that's actually built up, and yeah, that'll just hone. I'll be able to hone that one out. So it's all pretty good. Otherwise, like all these other ones, all of the, like, it's got a bit of scoring here and there, but that's what you get when you run an engine at 160 degrees. And yep, and then you just keep driving it, and then you do another drift day afterwards, and yeah, stuff doesn't get treated nice, to be honest. But yeah, that's all a part of it. That's what they're built to do. So now, what else? I've had a couple of days to think about this. I drained the oil 2 days ago, whatever day today is. And it came out the worst I've ever seen it. So like, you know how you get like, is it Loctite Never Sees or whatever? It's like silver. That's what it came out like, real bad. That is the oil out of the gearbox, and I've never drained oil out of a gearbox and have it come out like that before. Like I've drained, you know, you get a bit of metallic here and there, and I was scratching my head thinking, how could this have got so bad? It was driving fine. It didn't have any noises and stuff. So thought about it. And then tonight, once I got everything apart here, I was, I thought, you know what, I might just check and make sure it's actually, because I kind of thought it was gears wearing. I might check that it is metallic, so like magnetic, I should say. And it is not. Just got a magnet and I put it in the oil, like so. You can see she is very silver. And yeah, there's no metal sticking to that magnet. So it's aluminium. Then I thought, you know what? I know what it is. Strip this gearbox down. The gears, you know, pretty good. Like I said, I don't see any more wear on them now from compared to when they went in. How long ago did it go in? Before LA Motorsport Festival, I think I put this in. And it looks the same, basically. There's extra wear on the synchros and stuff. And to be honest, there's a couple clips missing. These Nissan gearboxes have these little synchro clip things here to keep everything aligned. And yeah, I drained the oil out and there was a couple stuck to the drain plug on the gearbox. That's very normal on these. It happens all the time, especially when your synchros are worn and there's a little bit of resistance there and you're kind of just forcing it through. That will, pop those clips off sort of thing. So anyway, bit of rambling there. So from here, right, I thought this is the selector here that I've pulled out already. So the selector fork sits here. This is third gear and fourth gear. And yeah, so I pulled that apart because I was like, there's some like, you can't really see it. There was some like scrape marks in here. And these are very common for breaking these selector forks because they are aluminium. You can buy steel ones. I do have a steel one actually in the VN gearbox. But yeah, you break these, bad day, you lose like most of your gears, third and fourth gear at least. So yeah, I pulled it out and that is not supposed to look like that, let me tell you that. So all of this is all broken out of it. And that's what's left of it. So yeah, it's probably best case scenario, to be honest. So just, there's a little roll pin there. I'm not gonna try and lose all of these bits, but there's a little roll pin that goes through there, through these holes into this rod. And so you knock that out, slide that out, and you can get this selector fork out. Next thing, I hope I have one here, I think. So this is the messy corner of my shed, another messy corner. I got a few gearbox bits and pieces down here. This is a RB26 gearbox out of a R32 GTR. So you can use the gear sets out of these gearboxes in R33, like RB25 gearboxes. And they're basically the same. They've obviously got a transfer case, but you can reuse the gears out of this and use the shaft out of the other gearbox and swap them over. So very similar gearboxes. And I have a bucket of selector forks. So that's probably reverse or I don't know, something like that. And one of these, is it that one? Yes, I think it's that one. Yep, there we go. So that is what it's supposed to look like. Broken one, good one. Now, I must say, I could not have caught that any later. Like, that's 2 gear shifts away from having a gearbox full of neutrals, basically. So I'm actually very happy I caught that. That saved me some time and some money and some headaches, let me say. So yeah, that's the next job. We'll pop that one in. So yeah, bin for that bad boy. That one there is going to get a hard life for the next couple months until, yeah, I've said I'm going to buy myself a Christmas present this year, and it's going to be a, I'd love to get a dog box, like a straight cut dog box, something without synchros. so that I'm only servicing it like once a year or something. So, but yeah, that should be good to go for this weekend. I do have another little, I'm not going to say it's a trick up my sleeve, but so I'm kind of trying to do this weekend on a bit of a budget. I set myself a limit. I don't want to spend crazy amounts of money. Car needed a new gearbox, but obviously you can see there, it's not shifting between third and fourth easily, if it does ever. I've been complaining about this for far too long. So what I'm actually going to do with the layout that we're running this weekend at Mallala, I'm going to re-gear the car. So I'm going to put some different diff gears in it so that I can use third gear for the whole layout for this weekend, because this is actually the first comp that I've done in a while. And I want to get that trophy, you know? So I want to try and, I'm going to put a lot of effort into this one. So yeah, the only thing I hope obviously is that I can get on top of all these mechanicals and it's not going to cause a problem. So yeah, obviously this isn't easy like a Skyline or a Commodore or anything, or depends what model Commodore, newer Commodore, older Commodore, yes, exactly the same diff. So yeah, solid axle obviously, so it's going to be axles out and then diff center out and then swap over the pinion and the crown wheel, and yeah, we'll pop her all back together. So I'm going to dive into a bit of this. Yeah, kind of running on a late one tonight because I'm going to get up early tomorrow morning and then run down to Slaker Spares. They've got me some piston rings and a few other bits and pieces. I need to get some more oil and whatnot because we're not going to be going through 5 litres of oil per set of tyres this time. So, but yeah, we're going to get some more oil and try and get all the bits and pieces I need tomorrow so that I can just jam on this for the next few days and actually get this thing back together in time for the weekend. But I think I'm in a good position from here. I'm going to run through a little bit, putting this thing back together, go over ring gaps and stuff. I'm probably not going to need to gap these rings because they're standard bore, so they're probably going to be a little bit big because this block will obviously get the old Dingleberry hone. Whether I haven't decided which hone that I'm going to run on it yet. So, and yeah, it's not going to get run in. I'm going to run it in at the track for 1 lap, and then I'm going to drift it. So, but this isn't, yeah, this motor is actually going to be the Bitzer motor. So the one under that sheet right there, that's actually one of my good motors. Geez, I'm talking a lot in this video, aren't I? Sorry, guys. Just trying to explain my situation. Yeah, so that's going to be my good motor. So I need to get that motor. That's got pistons and rods in it. I need to give that one a good going over and put a new set of pistons in that one, ready to go back in the car before summer nats this year. So I'm actually going to take this head, because this is my good head off of, that was on this block, obviously. And I'm going to save that to go on that motor, and I'm going to grab that head there, and that is going to go back onto this motor. Why, you ask? Because this one here has actually got, it's been rebuilt not that long ago. Obviously, now that it's had some metal through it, I'm going to have it gone over again, but it has got valve stem seals and everything done in it. So, and this one over here, it is what it is. Yeah, it's going to stay that way. All right, I'm going to skip forward, and then we'll, I reckon we'll be, starting to assemble this bad boy again. I'm going to wash a heap of stuff and do all the time-consuming stuff off camera, and then, dive back in to this. Now, skip forward 1 full day. Yesterday I went to Slaker Spares and bought some rings and some oil and oil filter and spark plugs and stuff. Some bits and pieces that I needed. Kind of waste half a day, a few hours going down there and back. But from there, sat here all day and just went through some pistons and rods and gapped rings and stuff. So, we've got a set of pistons and rings ready to go in. Then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go over and check everything. I found some stuff on the bearings that weren't the best. So, I mean, you can't really see it. I'll try. So you can kind of see those like white dots on there. That's actually alloy. And so it's like alloy spray sort of thing. Very weird. I kind of thought it can either come from one of 2 places. So obviously it torched that piston, wherever it is. Like it torched that piston. And you can see obviously it's got a hole through the inside of the piston. So it's actually sprayed metal onto the rod. And I thought maybe it's that. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But then I thought, you know what, I might just double check the mains. So I pulled a main cap off the block, pulled the center one off with the thrusts on it, because yeah, obviously the oil will come through like the main bearings to the rod bearings. So if there is a problem with the mains, it can obviously affect a rod bearing. So I thought, you know what, I'll just check that. I pulled it apart. It had a little bit of like wear, probably a little bit too much wear for what I would expect. But yeah, so torqued back down, pulled the next cap off. Yep. Broke a freaking main cap. What an idiot. It was already broken when I pulled it apart. I didn't break it pulling it apart. I broke it driving with a misfire. So it is kind of common for these to crack just like that. Basically, you can kind of see it's an old crack because it's, yeah, it's damp. It's got oil in it. Yeah, it is kind of common for these to do it. Like if you have a misfire sort of thing. So it is like it had the misfire, or in this case, melted piston, hole in the piston on cylinder 4. And this was the one right next to it. So it is, yeah, it is kind of common for that to happen on 2Js, I know. That's why billet mains exist. So I have just chucked another cap on it off of another block. I just kind of wanted to see if it bound up or anything. I was entertaining the idea of leaving it like that. I know, obviously, I know it has to be line bored to suit any, any different main caps or anything. But so now my options with that block are get it line bored to suit that cap, or billet mains, and yeah, obviously get it line bored as well. So no matter what now, unfortunately, that block has to be line bored. I haven't had a good run with getting stuff line bored. In saying that, I haven't. That was like another machine shop that I used to use back in the day. So I guess I have no choice now but to have a play around with that. Like I said, decide whether I want to go billet mains. I mean, I think by the time you put them in, it would probably cost $1,500 to do billet mains, including like getting it line board to suit. Perhaps, I don't know, I'd have to, have to do a bit more research into that. Anyway, so that's not happening this week because obviously I have no time, as usual, to fix that. So as you've seen at the start of the video, I had this block sitting here. This was X pistons and rods bottom end that I damaged. Heck, when was it? Last year? Yeah, last year. And it was just sitting here, and I was going to get some new pistons and stuff for it. But it is an 86mm bore, and I need an 86mm bore block to sort this out. So now my quick rebuild, obviously I was just going to quickly, they were the pistons that I sorted out. They've got new rings and everything in them, ready to go. I was going to chuck them in that block, but now I have to re-block into this one. So yeah, that is a non-VVTI block. That's a VVTI block. There's not much difference on them. It's got a, there's not much difference. There's different size port. I think that's the only thing on the, for the oil line. Can't remember. I think that's about it. So anyway, so now I've got a big task ahead of me I'm halfway there. I've just got to pull the balancer and the oil pump and water pump and stuff off and chuck it on this block. But first of all, it's time to put some pistons in this block now. So I have honed it. I've given her a clean up. It has come up pretty good. I'm not worrying about the deck of the block because it hasn't done much work, and I gave it a quick clean up last time I put it together, so it is going to be a-okay. The rod bearings that I pulled out that were in those rods were actually really good, so the journals on this look good. I pulled one main cap off just to have a suss, and rod bearings, main bearings, everything looks good. So I'm happy with that bottom end to get this gear put on it. So yeah, so it is now Wednesday morning. So by the time, I'm not stopping today until this engine is back together and back in the car. So, and then I'll get it running tomorrow, hopefully. If all goes to plan, you know how it is. All it takes is one thing to go wrong, and it doesn't really go to plan. So, all right, now let's get them in here. Yeah. Before I went too far, I pulled off all of these rings again and checked them in this block, so gapped them. So this is my little scribble. Standard ring gap is 0.3 of a millimeter to 0.4 of a millimeter for the top one. I've set mine to about 0.5 to 0.6, so like maximum is 1. That's standard actual factory specs. I've just made mine a little bit looser. So yeah, mine are all gapped to 0.5 to 0.6 on the first one, 0.55 to 0.65 on the second one. They're actually probably 0.55 to 0.6. And then yeah, the like oil ring at the bottom, it's definitely a bit looser than that. So, but it is what it is, because these are just some factory like factory spec rings. There's not much. Yeah, they kind of come gapped already to around that spec. But if you are doing this at home and you're deciding whether your pistons are usable or not, the main thing is that the rings are free in there. So these pistons here, they are some of the old ones that I pulled out, have broken rings. One has broken ring land, so that was a bin anyway. But the rings are actually tight in the grooves. So yeah, the main thing is that those rings are free. Otherwise, yeah, doesn't work. Rings will bind up, etc. This is the orientation I use for, for the rings. That's standard orientation. I think like forged pistons and stuff maybe use slightly different orientation to that. So, but yeah, these are now ready to compress and go in. I still use the like old style compressor. You can get those like certain size. I should buy some. You can get like actual 86 mil ring compressors, so you just push them straight in. It would save me a lot of time, but yeah, I'm still the old messy bench and OG ring compressor. So let's get stuck into it. Tabs, front of the engine. The dot on the piston, front of the engine. In case you get confused. Get some oil in there. Oiled the rings already. Now this is progress. I stayed up way too late last night, so I did about a 20-hour day yesterday. Started at like 7:30 and finished at, I don't know, sometime after 1. But engine back in, back together. Everything looks pretty good in it. I didn't find anything. There was a few problems that I'm glad that I ended up having to swap the engines. So I had to like push the front main a little bit, and it was starting to rub on the like timing gear sort of thing at the bottom. What else did I find? There was a couple other little bits and pieces that I'm glad that I had to like swap blocks sort of thing. So, and yeah, sometimes these things happen for a reason, I think. So, yeah, diff also stripped down. So all the all this just to change diff gears to a different ratio. So this is the 3.7 that I'm about to chuck in. I'm going to put some heat on that and then slip that onto the center. So it's just a mini spooled center that I run, 28 spline. That is the old 411, so that will go back in after this round probably, or at least once I've got my gearbox fixed. Already got the pinion in there. So yeah, just a crown wheel that I need to suss out. There's actually, I found a few other little bits and pieces on this too. So if you remember, obviously wheel fell off last time, and then all this was ground down. I'm not going to fix any of that. It's not structurally bad, but yeah, I found some bent brake caliper mounts, so I'm going to also rip them off and straighten them out. Yeah. Lots of things to do, bits and pieces here and there, but we're getting there. We're making progress. This is, what are we up to, Thursday now? So, like I said, I've got to, this needs to be running today, to be honest, just so that I can check over the things that I need to check over. And yeah, so by tonight, this thing is going to be back together and running. Not hopefully, it has to be. Like I said, by the time I get the diff back in, so diff, tail shaft, and then new oils through everything. So I've literally rebuilt an entire driveline this week. I'm not like I can't remember the last time I changed a diff oil in this thing. And if you haven't seen before, I've pointed it out once or twice before, but this is my hack for these diffs. So this is the diff hat, and you can see where this is the standard filler plug, and all I've done is moved it up. What's that, like 30 mil or something? So you can see in here, they're like the oil level sits about there. See, everything is under oil. Because in drifting, these are like, obviously they don't have a lot of oil in them standard like this much. And then with drifting, all the G-forces pushes the oil into the tubes, and then that starts the center of oil. So yeah, I was going through one of these diffs every, I don't know, like when I first put this diff in the car, I was going through one of these diffs every 2 events probably. And at the time it wasn't so bad. 411s weren't that expensive, but I always ran them, and they're yeah, few and far between now. And to be honest, I've had the same diff gears in this car for the last 10 years maybe. So it's yeah, it's definitely fixed any problems that I used to have. So full diff rebuild, everything in the diff looks really good. Gearbox back together, it all went together pretty well. Obviously it's all back in the car now, but yeah, had it on the floor, changed all gears, spins through all gears. Yeah, it feels quite good now. So like I said, some fresh oil and everything, and then yeah, once we finish putting it back together, fire this up and cross my fingers that everything's going to go to plan between now and Saturday. So I'm not actually drifting on Saturday, but I'm going to be out the track because it is Nick's first time competing this weekend. So he's doing the Saturday practice and the Sunday comp. So he's driving an L2. So yeah, first comp ever for him. And so I'm just driving Sunday. So I'm going to take my car out on Saturday, probably unload it at the end of the day. And so yeah, then we'll be good to go for Sunday's comp in L1. So pretty, yeah, pretty stoked on this actually. It's been a while since I've done this sort of level of competition. So getting keen now. That has been a seriously, ridiculously long week, but yep, she's back together. I haven't done anything yet. It's got fluids in it. It's got batteries connected. Everything's ready to go. I haven't primed it, so I'm about to crank it over and prime it. And we're not going to have RB30 problems, so it's going to make oil pressure straight away. Cam and crank angle sensor are unplugged currently, so yeah, we should just be able to crank it over and make oil pressure after about 15 to 20 seconds, I hope. No matter what, I always get nervous here. Whew, come on, let's do this. So we're looking for oil pressure. Definitely not RB things. So yeah, now we can plug everything back in as it should go. There's no rags in the timing belt. So yeah, now it's time. Let's do this. It would probably help if I plug everything in. I did it. Woo! We are back, baby. Yep. Stoked. I love it when a plan comes together. Yeah, all right. The work doesn't finish here though. I'd hate to know how many hours I've put into it this week. Probably like at least 5 12-hour days plus, I don't know, like 60 to 70 hours probably this week. Obviously I've done diff, gearbox and engine this week. So yeah, diff's all back together. I didn't really finish on touching on that, but diff's all back together. There's not too much with setting these diffs up. They have like a little crush spacer, crush washer thing that go on the pinion, and that sets your like end float of the pinion. And then yeah, you basically just use the shims either side of the diff to set the lash. So yeah, pretty straightforward, but I might dive into that another day. This week, definitely did not have time. Definitely did not have time, so I've got a few more things to do on this and then pack up and load up and everything. But yeah, so if you are going to the track this weekend, I am drifting on Sunday, not Saturday, Sunday, but I will be at the track on Saturday as well. So if you're coming out, I'll see you there. I will have some merch for sale, hats, not these shirts, but I will have some shirts out there for sale as well. So if you want to grab some merch, come and see me. If you want to come and have a chat, I'll see you there. But yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Sorry it was a long video. This week, like I said, did not go to plan to start with, but we got there in the end. So that's all that matters, right? So, but yeah, thanks so much for watching. We'll either see you at the track on the weekend or we'll see you next week. Thanks guys.